Hey, I'm Wes Benwick, everyone, and you're listening to the 904wed.com Real Talk podcast. Today we have Amber Flowers with us. She's right there at the bottom of your screen, and right above her we have Ann LaFiles of Premier Bride Expo. You guys, we have got two really great resources for you here today, but let's find out more about these two awesome ladies. Amber, you're getting married soon. You just got engaged in the middle of a pandemic. How did that go down?
Well, it went down, thank God. But, you know, it was funny. I was asked in Colorado and had no idea. And as when he asked, I'm not a fan, I'm Floridian, so I'm not a big fan of the snow by any means, the cold. But we put like many layers on when he asked. The funny thing is that he actually tipped the snowmobile right before, you know, he popped that question. However, to answer it, the pandemic has been a little different. So when we left Colorado, it was 3 days into it. We heard about it. We heard about the corona. But we weren't really understanding the whole thing as to everybody else. We were just hearing about it. And then 3 days after we left, they closed down, shut down everything. So it's been just a little different. We still had to go grocery shopping when we went back, which that was complicated. Toilet paper, we had no toilet paper when we came back.
And you hadn't even stocked up. Hopefully you had some friends here that took care of you. But I want to find out, he flipped the snowmobile and then proposed. This was not planned. You were in the snow and he proposed to you. What exactly went down there?
Okay, so here it is. I had a little too much to drink the night before. And we all did. We were actually celebrating somebody's birthday. That was the whole purpose of going out there. And so the next morning I was just feeling a little rough. And I'm like, okay, but I can go through this. I can go through this. So we had to do like a practice round when you get out here. You've got to go through this practice thing, this little course, and we're going around in circles. And I'm riding on the back of the snowmobile because let's just be honest, thank goodness I said I was going to ride on the back because I wasn't too good the last time that I was on a snowmobile. So we're on the course. We're going around in circles. Thumbs up. We're all part of, I think there was about 12 of us in the group. So as we go on, and we're adults now, yay, we get to go through. And I'm just holding on like, please, I'm so parched. I just need something. Like I need water, but I'm not going to complain. We get onto the first of the and he tips the snowmobile just going around the corner on me. And he says, you know, Flores, are you okay? That's what he calls me. It's a nickname. So I'm like, yeah, just get this thing off of me. I'm free. Because you're in so many layers, so you just can move, you know, so many different ways. So when he picks it back up, the first thing I do is take a handball of snow. And I'm just like, I just need to sneak this away and eat it a little bit because I'm so dehydrated. Now I'm freaking out. So the people that were with us was like, is she okay? Oh, she's fine. She's eating snow. And I was like, oh, God. Like, but yeah. So that's how the beginning of the proposal went. Still not having any clue. We had another 4 hours on this tour.
Oh, so this was a organized snowmobile tour, not just the two of you, a group of people. So you did this in front of people, embarrassed yourselves. Nice.
But, he kind of sort of embarrassed us. I was just sneaking the little snow because I was a little parched.
Now, was this a planned proposal, a planned proposal, or a proposal?
No, it was planned for sure. Okay. But not with me, of course.
Right.
The guest there the night before, he just told everybody in the game room. I went to bed because, like I said, I just had a little too much. So I went to bed, and he went down to the game room and said, "Hey, I plan on proposing tomorrow, and on the snowmobile thing tour." And so they all knew. But here's the greatest. He said, "So code word is going to be Coors Light Mountain." Again, that's where Colorado, Coors Light, that's where it's from. So the distraction of the best peak that we were about to go and pose on, when he said that, everybody was going to get their cameras out, their little phone, you know, and take pictures. And so we went out, and he said, Coors Light Mountain. I said, oh my gosh, it does look like Coors Light Mountain. And but on this little tiny part of the mountain, there's only a part for couples to get truly pose. Like there was not enough room. So we're taking couples picture, and I turn around and I see all these cameras, and I was like, all right, really, we don't need that many. And
a little overkill.
Little overkill. But there was one of his fraternity brothers was walking around and completely like distracted me. So I looked over, and at Chris, my fiance, he was getting down on one knee, and I then looked down and I said, like I did this whole, my knees truly went weak. I'm not kidding you. And it looks in the video that I was about to jump off the mountain. I really wasn't. I was just losing balance a little bit.
You already had one tumble. You already had one tumble. We didn't need to hear about a second one. So he asked, you said yes. The rest is history. And you came back here engaged, but in the middle of a pandemic with no toilet paper. Yes.
Yeah, that's all true. No toilet paper. Not knowing that toilet paper. So when we got back, I said, I'm just going to run to Publix real quick. So we go to Publix, and I take a picture. Still, I have this picture saved in my wedding album, you know. And I said, took a picture, and I said, babe, you won't believe this. There's no more toilet paper or tissues, like in this entire store. And he's like, what? That's crazy. So I'm checking out, and I said, ma'am, you know, we don't have, you guys, do you know you don't have any toilet paper? Is there any in back? And she goes, you must be kidding, right? And I was like, no, I'm not kidding. You can walk down that aisle and see there's just none. And she goes,
it's like you guys just came out of hibernation.
Did you not turn on the TV the entire time you were in Colorado?
Not one time at all. We never did. We had a schedule like every single day. Cause again, I was told somebody was going to be proposed to there, one of his friends. And so I said, I sent my now fiance a link, and I said, listen, if you're going to do it here, one of my friends got engaged in Colorado, and I was like, they use this photographer that follows you around and will capture the whole thing. But here, and he's like, good idea, good idea. And I was come to find out, hello.
It was you.
So how long have you guys been dating? Was this really that big a surprise? You really fell hook, line, and sinker for that?
Not only for that, but I first fell hook, line, and sinker for him. We have not been together for a very long time. Everybody's like, what? So we're celebrating July 1st. It's our 1 year.
All right.
So
Nothing
we just got it. No. I guess, you know, it's funny when you truly fall in love, you hear all these things before, like, oh, you know, when you know, and you hear, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then you meet someone and you're like, it's not so cliche anymore. Yeah, that's right. And I'm writing down quotes in my journal, like, well, when you know, you know.
You're glowing in love. I can feel it already. And you're right. When you know you found the one, you found the one. There's no need to test the waters for years on end at that point.
No.
Especially, you know, if this isn't your first rodeo and you're out of high school, it's all good. Now,
right.
Full disclosure here.
Yeah, out of high school. I love that. That's true.
I know, right?
Full disclosure, you're not exactly new to the wedding business, the wedding industry, right?
This is true.
What is your connection to the wedding world?
It goes back. So my grandmother, she threw glitter on walls. She was the most fabulous woman in the world, and she made everything just glam. But she did a lot of designing weddings. And then I got into the makeup. But during this process, my family also, they have a catering business. So my bloodline is weddings. And I did makeup for over a decade. If it wasn't for photo shoots in different places and traveling, it was a lot in weddings. So I was a lot behind the scenes before they went out to know, like, and not many people know what goes on behind the scenes, and nor will I tell. I keep good secrets, but no, because they don't know the buildup. And just when you have a bride sitting in your chair and they're finally calm because they can't talk, I have to spray their face down or do whatever I need to do. And so they're very in that moment. But beyond that, so I've been this third generation in the wedding business.
Wow. I love
Yes.
that. That's a cool story. And right above you, you have the queen of all things weddings here.
Oh,
She
stop.
knows all. She knows all the vendors, all the good quality vendors, at least. And that's
Right.
Anne.
That's true.
Anne, tell us
Yes.
about Premier Bride for those people that are listening that maybe aren't connected yet to the wedding industry because maybe they haven't got engaged yet or they haven't found that special someone.
Right.
What is Premier Bride all about?
Well, Premier Bride magazine is a national publication. We've got locations all over the United States, and I own the Northeast Florida market, which I'm really excited about because this year we're celebrating our 20th year in business. I started the magazine when I was 5. No, just kidding. I bought it 9 years ago. So I bought it 9 years ago, and from just the magazine, we've also grown into expos, and we do 2 in Jacksonville, 2 in St. Augustine. We are in Gainesville. I mean, we've been up in Georgia and even Alabama. So we are all over helping brides and grooms meet their perfect wedding vendors for, to help them plan their big day.
And that's kind of where I want to see the connection here. Amber, you didn't know you were going to get engaged, but you knew you found the right one. Had you already started thinking about wedding at that point before even going on this trip, or are you now actually starting to plan it right here in the middle of a pandemic?
I definitely knew I wanted to marry him. But no, I am planning it right now, right here. Yes, I have the venue, and that is where we're at.
Can we find out where the venue is, or is it a secret right now?
I think I could even tell a backstory, a little tiny short one on it. It's just we went and looked at. I live in Orlando. I'm from Jacksonville, but I live in Orlando now, and very new to Orlando. 2020 has been one heck of a year, and so I was like, you know what, it's going to be here. I looked around, and it just didn't feel right, and so I went over to Jacksonville to look at a few places, and because Jacksonville's home. Jacksonville's where it's like my safe place. The smell of fresh cookies when you get home, it's sort of thing. My mom always cooks me grilled cheese when I get home. So I found the grilled cheese. And that was, Chandler at the Oaks.
Ooh.
Chandler Oaks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Chandler Oaks. And I loved, right when we walked in, it's funny because we looked at a lot of places and we looked around and there was, this donkey that welcomed us, I'm sorry, but had me. Yak is his name. And I stopped the car and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just this donkey was so happy. So we go in and we meet Mr. Chandler and he takes us to this wonderful tour. And, it felt right. There were certain sentimental connections to the place. And it didn't, at that point, we got in the car after we took this tour, like a hummingbird, for example, came out of nowhere. I'm like, well, there's a hummingbird. Like, cute hummingbird. But it had sentimental things that happened to me and what hummingbirds mean. So anyway, we get back in the car and I look over at my fiance and I was like, and I already knew, I'm like, this is the place. And he said, oh, well, we found the place. And so I am loud and proud saying that is absolutely the place.
Didn't you kind of have a heads up, though, on the competition? And don't you think she had a little bit of heads up because you've been in the wedding world? Like, how many different wedding venues have you been to as a professional at this point?
This is true.
Yeah, I think that Amber really knows a lot about the wedding venues in Northeast Florida. She knows a lot of the vendors. Her mom is like super connected. That's really how Amber and I met too, because we love her mom, obviously. So she's probably been to a lot of the places that also offer catering, outside catering. So she knows a little bit about them.
Great point. That is a great point because I did not. The one thing to me, it was hard to find venues. I love so many venues around Jacksonville, St. Augustine, North Florida, and there are so many incredible hidden gems too. But catering was a big thing with Anthony's Catering being family. Kim, my mom. I wanted it to be at ease in a sense too. I don't want them to work. That's very important. And I know I've mentioned this to many different people in the circles. Like, I just don't want them to have to work. But I do want Mark with Anthony's to look over everything because I'm really OCD about table settings. But being well connected, yes. And like I said, there's so many incredible venues in Jacksonville. But this one actually, it was one I never been to, ever.
Really?
Yes.
How about that? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. And one of my best friends, actually my maid of honor, she was telling me about this, and she knows my vibe. And she's like, have you checked this out? And I said, no. The venue that I actually was going to do it at was having a condo. It's downtown, and was having a condo built next to it. It wouldn't be finished in time. So and that was where my heart was kind of set on the South Bank. And I was like, I don't want to have the trouble with parking or, transportation. There's another parking garage. And so when we checked this place out, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. It was it.
I love it. So, Ann, I've got to ask you this. You meet a lot of brides. You talk to a lot of vendors, venues. The Amber story here of kind of falling in love at first sight. What do you see out there in the Premier Bride world? Are people using Premier Bride as their first stop to figure out what kind of venue do they want? Or is it sort of their last stop in the picture to kind of finalize things? How does a bridal expo fit into this picture?
Well, I think a bridal expo and the magazines are definitely go hand in hand because when people get engaged, they want to go to the expo and they want to start looking at things. And so our magazines are free to brides and grooms all over northeast of Florida. We're in about 350 locations. So people can easily pick them up. I mean, they're even in nail salons sometimes when you're getting your nails done. You flip through Premier Bride. So once people get engaged, they want to start looking at the venues. And we have these huge venue lists and, venue chart that allows brides to see what the capacities are, what the catering options are, all the things that they're looking for when they are trying to select a venue. So we also give the magazines out at the expos. So, I think because the expos are only 4 times a year, brides make it a special point to make sure that they go to one and go to one early because it's really the only place where you can meet. I mean, it is the only place where you can meet 120, 150 wedding professionals under one roof.
It is. It's speed dating for wedding vendors and brides and grooms. That's what
it's a good way to look at it.
Can we have a match here? I've worked several as a DJ, and that is my side hobby. That's my connection to the wedding world, and I get it. And I love meeting all the brides and grooms that come by. But let's talk about, Amber, this unique situation, right? You're getting engaged in the middle of this pandemic. There may never be another group of brides like this. I sure hope not. But how has that been different? How did you celebrate with family and friends? Has it all been virtually? Did you break rules and get together in small groups 6 feet apart? How did you guys do this?
We paused. Things are on pause because, my fiance's family, they're in Ohio and Georgia. And so we had to put it on pause. But I mean, we had our champagne and celebrated and that kind of things, but it's all good being on pause. I tell you, during quarantine, and we live in a condo in downtown, so things were kind of I had to put my dog back at my mom's house because I was like, we can't even walk the dog. We can't do this. But you know what it is? I will tell you, with the Premier Bride magazine, I did pick up. I helped budget so much that things that I didn't even know I'm flipping through. And that's what I'm thankful for because I had a lot of time because we flip through videos and it's very easy, or we put on podcasts. But down to specifics, it's sometimes hard and overwhelming, especially if you go to the store and you pick up these magazines that are $15 to $17 and you're like, okay, well, I think I'm not going to get that brooch that goes on something for $1,700. You're like, what am I doing? So, I think that it was really good to celebrate. It was a bit more intimate. It was my new fiance and I, and we cooked together and we made things together. And so that was great. And then we just paused for a little bit for the family to come in, and we're doing an engagement party on the 4th of July.
Oh, Awesome.
Yes,
Right
yeah,
downtown, maybe with fireworks. Who knows if
we
they'll be there
are.
or not. Awesome. I
We
love
are.
it.
Yeah,
And
we are actually doing one because Jacksonville has the fireworks. You don't have St. Augustine. You don't have, I
No.
believe, none of the fireworks are Jack's Beach is not going on, but we have a really cool venue at 841, and I'm really excited to host the engagement party there.
I see more photo ops in your future, lots of cameras being busted out there, right? So normally pause and wedding or any relationship is a bad combination of words here, but in this
No.
particular case, you guys are making the most of it, and really you're finding out a lot more about each other living together in this kind of situation, this quarantine
Right.
pandemic, than probably anyone else has had to do, and dealing with the stresses that comes with. But let's talk about something else that's stressful and uncomfortable, and that's budgets.
Oh boy.
The beginning of any wedding planning process, any expert out there will tell a bride what they probably don't want to think about, which is the budget. Is that the same for you? Is budget been number one, or where does that fit in for you?
Oh, budget. I'm going to drink some wine on that word, budget.
With her extra large wine glass, everyone.
I'm just kidding. Budget's really important. And I feel like now, so they don't know going into this. And like I said, I did look in Central Florida, and I went to certain things around town, and I was hearing in the background chat of like, oh, the budget. Don't ever tell anyone your budget, not even your wedding planner or just tell them it's five, whatever number. But the number that I heard was like 5,000 below your budget. And I was thinking, are you guys crazy? Like the budget, people get so intimidated by, okay, they think, and this is what's bad in being in the wedding business. Budget or wedding, when you say wedding, they're like, okay, wedding. That means we're going to charge them whatever, because they're going to know they need these special sprinkles on top of this, and they're going to pay $200 for those sprinkles per cupcake. It's just ridiculous. But you hear a lot of flooding into the conversation that's nonsense. So my budget is my budget. And if you have a professional wedding planner and somebody that understands what the definition of budget, here it is. And they're going to work in that budget. And they're like, okay, you might not. And you know what? Anne, you made a great point in the magazine. Like you're like, okay, well, budget, here it is. You might want this crazy expensive flower that I probably don't know how to pronounce. But I like how it looks on the Pinterest, but it's not in budget, and something that comes very similar to it. And they give all the different definitions. I mean, I don't know really much about flowers, but I know that I like the expensive one, and I had to cut my budget down, and they gave me a great example in the magazine of what I could put into that to kind of make it look similar to it. And that's where it goes with the budget. Like you have people as professionals. If you're going on and you're not hiring a professional and where they understand it and respect it and get it, because at the end of the day, you're going to give them a good review. You're going to understand it, and their business is going to grow from it. And
I think the main thing is honesty.
Right.
Just being honest. Like no matter what your budget is, your wedding planner and your wedding professionals, if you hire wedding professionals, will help you maximize your dollars. And being honest with them is going to make the process so much easier, because there are ways to have fabulous weddings with small budgets. You just have to, you just have to scale things in a different way and prioritize what's really, really important if you can't afford to go all out on every single aspect of the wedding. And in all honesty, there's like 26 aspects of the wedding. So not every aspect of the wedding is important for every bride and groom. I say that all the time. I'm like, I'm crazy. I'm in print. I love paper. When I got married, my wedding invitations were literally probably about $20 an invitation. But most people would never spend that. But to me, that's what was important at the time. And everybody else is different. Sometimes it's the dress. Sometimes it's the food. Sometimes it's the cake, the DJ, the entertainment. I mean, our entertainment was crazy what we spent, because my husband. But that's what's really important, is to be honest and write a list down of what the important aspects are for you for your wedding.
That's a good point.
I got to ask, Amber, and you've got the history here for sure, 20 years with Premier Bride, but I feel like prior to this whole COVID quarantine, there was a certain expectation that weddings, if they weren't 100 plus people or a certain size budget, it wasn't a great wedding. But I think all of a sudden now things are changing and shifting, and a smaller, more intimate wedding is not only more budget conscious, it's also more acceptable and sort of expected now. Have your wedding plans been affected in terms of size and budget by what we're in the middle of right now, Amber, or does that have nothing to do with it?
Does it have nothing to do? No, I think that it depends on what you're planning too. Like, I think so. I think it just depends on what you're planning. I'm sure budget has a lot to do with it. There was a lot of things. I have a friend of mine that's getting married. It's like, I think this is to answer the question correctly, but in the medical field and stuff like that. And they took a cut. So I think that it's just different in the time. It depends on what you're really planning and what you're doing. I don't really know on that. I mean, yes, it does apply to it. I mean, we're going through a very difficult time, but it also is highlighting what the importance is. And I mean, how you seclude yourself, and you have given this time to seclude yourself. It kind of highlights what is the importance of things. And I don't think it's cutting costs. I think it's bringing importance into people coming together.
I guess
not
that's really
what the outside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the real question is your guest count number, your must invites versus your want to invites and your not going to invites, right? Is your must invites list, is that smaller now than it may have been 4 or 5 months ago, or is it really about the same number?
No, I like, I can only speak for what I've been experiencing, like in the wedding, because I like smaller weddings. And again, I am Italian, so smaller amount of people, it's going to be large. But for an Italian family, we're keeping it very small. And because that's what I feel, all these people that you experience and, they are going to be there, you want to make the most of everything and get to enjoy these little moments into this big, to me, it's going to be a big show because I want the doors to open and doves to fly. Just kidding. But I want that. And mine's a little bit different. However, yes, the guest list has been cut a little bit. A little bit.
All right. And is the donkey going to make an appearance at the wedding in person, or will it just be on property?
Absolutely. It's going to be in person right there.
Photo opportunities with the donkey.
That's the first question I asked Mr. Chandler.
Can the donkey pose for photos?
Mm-hmm.
The donkey is actually a new trend, Amber. Do you know, have you seen? Yeah, they put little baskets on the donkey, and he acts as like a drink cart. I've seen this. This is a new trend. No, I don't know if that donkey is conditioned to be a beverage donkey, but I've actually seen this trend on quite a few wedding platforms for a unique guest experience where the donkeys are serving drinks.
Taking note right now. I'm not kidding you. Donkey.
I need to check it.
Bev.
Drink cart. Bev cart. Yes. Donkey, Bev cart.
That puts a whole new spin on I'd like to order a vodka mule, doesn't it?
Yes. Moscow mules are the signature drink, apparently.
I think a mule is the same as a donkey, or they're related. Hopefully I'm not insulting any donkeys out there by calling him a mule.
I think they might take offense to it.
So, Amber, one of the things, this is not a once and done podcast. We're trying to keep this concise, and we plan to check back in over time and follow you along your wedding planning journey, which has really sort of just begun. We've kind of caught you at the beginning. What have you been working on this past week?
That's funny because today I booked rooms for, we did block rooms for the engagement party, but today I actually booked a dress fitting, which my goddaughter is going to be a part of. She's actually going to pick the dress. So that's going to take place next week. And actually haven't been, because of quarantine and everything that's going on, I wasn't able to ask my bridesmaids, but with a very fabulous mask, they are making it. And so I'm going to ask my bridesmaids this week and my goddaughter to pick the dress. So that's been in plan. And that's not easy.
No.
To have everybody plan during this time is not easy.
I can only imagine. How are you staying face to face? A lot of FaceTime, a lot of phone calls. Are you getting creative with some Zoom meetings out there? What are you doing?
Oh yes, we had a pizza Zoom meeting. So we ordered in pizza, and everybody had a wine, and so everybody had their own pick of pizza, and then we had wine, and so we had a conversation about just different plans and ideas for the bachelorette party, and then judged our pizza and the wine.
You're making me hungry just talking about that. I think we need some pizza vendors. And at the next Premier Bridal, speaking of that, when is the next show? This is sort of a timeless podcast, but if you happen to be listening to it in the near future, the Premier Bride always has an expo, a show coming up somewhere. Yeah. What's the next one?
Well, it was supposed to be yesterday, but when the pandemic hit, I was really proactive about it. I called the Prime Osborne right away, and I said, give me dates in July, because I just don't think we're going to open back up, because the Prime Osborne was being used as a possible temporary hospital if it went to that in Jacksonville, which thankfully it didn't. So we're going to be at the Prime Osborne on July 19th. The doors are going to open up at 1 o'clock. We're not saying when we're ending quite yet, because we want to give enough time for everybody to go through, and we're not exactly sure what restrictions are going to look like or what capacity is going to look like. But we're really trying to get everybody to go and get their tickets online. Vendors are going to have free promo codes for all of their brides and grooms. So check with the vendors. They're going to be giving out those free promo codes and promoting them. And we're going to see July 19th. Doors are open at 1 o'clock.
I hope to everyone there. Amber, will you be there this year?
Yes. I love bride. I mean, I really do. I've had such a good time. I've been, obviously, with the family being this, we have had booths at Premier Bride, and I just have so much fun. Like, it's such a good trust circle there too. So, every vendor that you go to and everything it's not where it's overwhelming, and it's so much fun. So I definitely will be there. But this time I actually get to be on the other side. Yes.
I know. You're going to be wearing the pink beads, Amber. You're going to get your swag bag. We're going to give you all your goodies. So yeah, you're going to be on the other side this time. And we might even take your mom out of the booth and tell her to go walk with you. So you guys
Yes. Get her some temporary booth coverage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't wait to check in with you after that, because I always feel that brides, by the end of that show, if they've come by a booth that I'm at towards the end, their eyes are huge. They're a little overwhelmed. I'm curious what, kind of techniques and experience you have, and how you make the most of a bridal show. Anne, you're the expert at it. What do you tell brides about how do you organize yourself? Do you go and visit every booth? Do you have a plan? No. I'm going to hit these 10, 15 that I care about.
No, you cannot physically talk to everyone. Luckily, we're super happy to be the largest in town. It creates a lot of excitement. There's a lot of great things for everybody to see, but you really can't talk to every single vendor. So what I promote really heavily is to go to our website, look at the vendors that are going to be on there. I usually put them on the week of the show, and make a list of who you want to see. We put the floor program on there so you can highlight, and we've got signage up on all the aisles, so you know if it's aisle A, B, C, D, whatever. And you can go and find those vendors. And just make a list according to where you are in the wedding planning process. If you are just engaged, you're going to want to talk to the wedding planners, you're going to want to talk to the venues, and you're going to want to talk to the dress shops. Those are probably the 3 things that you need to get out of the way first, because before you can book any other vendor, you have to have a wedding date. So you're going to have the venue location first. And then you're going to want to talk to photographers, DJs, you get your florists, get your cake bakers. I mean, all the top wedding professionals can book out easily, especially if you're looking at a popular date. So you want to go in and you want to talk to, as many people as you can, but definitely make a list. And then you'll always have the magazine, and you'll have our program. So even if you couldn't talk to them at the show, when you're ready to start talking to the next list of vendors, you'll have a good guideline of people you can call.
So you mentioned one really important thing that hasn't come up today at all. And maybe it'll come up on a future one. And we haven't talked at all about a wedding planner. It's like the number one thing I've always hear everyone telling every bride, get a planner, get a planner, get a planner. Amber, you're in the industry. Are you still going to use a planner?
Absolutely. It is so important. And I feel like it is one of the most important, when it's do it yourself, and I will applaud and praise it all day, but this is also your wedding. So yeah, hire a professional, sit back and relax. You think about it where, you have people like different vendors showing up, whether it be a photo booth or a DJ or whatever, and it's to a new venue, and they don't know where the plugs are or this or that. There's all these different things that will take away from that moment that's supposed to be special from when you start planning or even up to the day of. And I highly, highly recommend having a planner. And you know what? I want to say, Ann, that's a good idea. Like, since July is coming up and with quarantine, the show in July is coming up, and with quarantine, what a great way, because they have their schedules right in front of them, all these different booths and vendors that, right now it's really difficult times because 2021 or into other times, you don't know what's going to be available because people are going to be packed up once it's kind of lightening up in the business a little bit. So it's a great opportunity to go face to face, see what the energy's like, and talk to people and the vendors and to book. Like, it's very important.
Mm-hmm. And what are you seeing happening out there in the world of wedding planning? How big of a category is that for you? And how do you manage it? How do you only have so many out of all of the planners that are out there?
Well, I've always said that, I want to make sure that there's the very best at my shows, but there's not an oversaturation of certain categories. So as I've worked with people throughout the years, they book well in advance. And so they've always got a spot at my show. There's certain categories that haven't opened up in years. So we really do have the creme de la creme of the wedding vendors that come there because they understand how valuable the shows are. They get a lot of business off of the shows. And I think brides and grooms appreciate that as well, because if vendors are paying for a booth space at an expo, they know that they're a serious wedding vendor and are going to do their very best for them, at their own wedding. So, it goes hand in hand.
Amber, I've got to ask, what came first, the wedding planner or the wedding venue and the date for you? What was the order for you?
Okay, good question. Wedding planner, I feel like being in the business, I will say, was already picked out. There was no doubt. Meaning, like, I have such trustworthy people, and so that is kind of aside. The date was decided because we were actually looking in March, but the venue, and it was a Saturday, and they didn't have any available, but they didn't know. And so we had to have a guarantee because it was time. Like, okay, we had to make a decision, figure out what we were doing. So what came first? My vision? Is that selfish? I don't know. Where can I see this come to life?
Well, we're going to be talking about vision as we get through this. We have only so much time today, right? But vision came first. I get it, and then the planner, and then the venue. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I would say that. Where could I make this vision that? Where could I make it come to life? And I found a place that just fit it. And the planners, there's no doubt. We got some good planners on team, and we'll talk about that. Well, let's get into that because I think we should talk about those planners.
Well, and I just want to say too that even with, I think the COVID-19 pandemic is the best example we could possibly have of why you should have a wedding planner, because all of a sudden life just completely shut down, and all those brides who had wedding planners were able to completely reschedule their wedding, and their wedding planner was doing it for them. So unfortunately, the wedding planner did double the work. The wedding planner did double the amount of work, but they took a date in March, April, or May, and they completely moved an entire wedding to a whole nother date and coordinated it with every single vendor that they were working with. And then they had to make sure that those vendors had availability too. So there was so much back and forth. So people not in the industry or have never worked with a wedding planner don't even know what the wedding planners were going through during the pandemic. I mean, if you used a wedding planner and you're a past bride, send your wedding planner a bottle of wine.
They need
because
it.
They deserve it. Like, they have been working overtime. It was absolutely insane. And it was something that the wedding industry no one has ever seen a shutdown before.
Right.
And, you know, statistics are that over 800,000 weddings across the United States had to be postponed and replanned because of the pandemic.
And 100,000 wedding planners are getting some form of therapy right now as a result. Because normally
wine. Wine. She said it. Send some wine.
Send wine. Yeah. So, you know, this is another reason why you hire a wedding planner. Even if it's not a full service wedding planner, even if it's a day of coordinator, the extra money will make your life so much easier on the day of and the life of your friends, your mother, and your family.
Yes, absolutely.
Without a doubt. Well, listen, we have run out of time, but we're going to be talking more about money in future episodes here on Positive. We'll be talking more about all of Amber's experiences coming up. You'll kind of get to live along with her, maybe some other brides that we're going to bring on as well to give you that kind of feel and see what's really going on under the hood here, behind the scenes, the stuff that you're not going to see on any other reality TV show. We're going to show you the good stuff that you need to know as brides and grooms getting married here inside of a pandemic or outside of one. This is valuable information. And thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to see the next Premier Bride Expo coming up. Amber, I loved hearing your story. I'm glad you didn't get hurt tipping over in the snowmobile. And cannot wait to check in and hear about everything else that you and your fiance have planned for your special day coming up. So everyone else, stay tuned. We've got more wedding business, wedding tips, wedding advice coming to you each week. Thanks for tuning in to the 904wed.com podcast. Take care.